Hello and welcome to the Bikes or Death podcast. My name is Patrick and I'm your host. This is a show that talks about bikepacking, adventuring, and the cool people who make up the sport. On this show, I got a chance to sit down with a guy named Chris Stevenson. He's currently on the Adventure Cycling Association's Southern Tier route, so that goes from California to Florida. And I just found out about a year and a half ago that it goes through a little town in Texas called Navasota, which is about 18 miles north of me. Ever since I found that out, I've been kind of watching social media, seeing if I could find somebody who was riding across America. And I was going to, offer to go and pick them up and ride with them for a little bit. And, pick them up, give them a place to crash for the night and feed them and let them take a shower. So about a month ago, I saw Chris on Instagram, and he was on the Southern Tier route. I saw he's come on my way, so I reached out to him, and sure enough, he took me up on my offer, went and picked him up, brought him home, and got cleaned up, and turns out he had some mechanicals, and it was a good thing that I did pick him up. Because he probably wouldn't have made it too much further. And to the east of us, there's not going to be a lot of options for bike shops and whatnot. But I'm going to put that story on hold for a little bit. I'm going to let the episode play, and then I'm going to pick that back up afterwards and kind of do the rest of the story afterwards. And because after we recorded it, there was some drama or bike mechanical issues. I've been waiting for an opportunity like this. Originally, I wasn't doing a podcast and I was just going to, hang out with a cyclist. But ever since I started doing a podcast, I really wanted an opportunity to just pick up a stranger and go. I told my wife when I left the house, I was like, all right, babe, I'm going to go pick up a stranger and bring him home. And that's what I did. And it turned out to be great. We did a podcast and it was a lot of fun. All right. If you would like to keep up with me and the show, you can find me on Instagram at Bikes or Death. I also just started a Facebook group, so you can find Bikes or Death on Facebook now. And if you would like to support this show, please head over to Patreon and find me there at Bikes or Death. If you listen to the last episode, I've started a promotion. If you join for just $1 a month, I'm going to send you a sticker. That's it, just $1 a month. And I got to give a huge shout out to everybody who has signed up so far. Ever since that last episode, I got I think it was 6 or 7 new patrons. And that's freaking awesome. The funny thing about it was that I got so many that Patreon sent me an email and they shut down my account, they suspended my account for suspicious activity. So I got so many new Patreons that they thought something fishy was going on. So that's my new goal. Every month I want to shut down Patreon due to suspicious activity. I think that'd be great. And all that means is I can still use Patreon. You can still go and pledge your support. The only thing is that the money just sits there in Patreon and I can't touch it, which is actually fine. I just leave it there. And once I get to $400, I'm going to buy this new fancy equipment that's going to be primo for audio recording, especially doing multiple guests. So anyway, enough of the business. Thanks everyone. Now here's the show. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm sitting down with Chris Stevenson. Hey, I got it right. That's pretty good.
Nice.
All right. So I'm actually really excited about this because I live in College Station, Texas, which is 20-ish miles south of Navasota. And Navasota is on the American Cycling Association's Southern Tier route. And ever since I realized that I was, so close to the route, I've been waiting, kind of stalking Instagram, waiting for somebody to be coming through and was going to, firstly, I wanted to just offer him a place to stay. I wanted to offer him food, warm shower, couch, backyard, whatever you need. Like I definitely want to get that. And then also the opportunity to talk to somebody. So I've been waiting for someone to roll through for a long time. I saw Chris on Instagram like a month ago. I was like, oh shit, where's he going? Is he going west? He's going east. I'm like, oh, okay, he's going my way. I'm going to reach out and see if he'd like to come hang out. So yeah, man, thanks for accepting my like random internet message to come and hang out at my house and do a podcast.
Oh yeah, no problem, man. It was good. It was good. It's good to meet some new people, meet some nice people, and get some food and shelter.
Yeah. How was that brisket today?
Really good. Really good. Yeah.
Had to show him some Southern hospitality, and I smoked a brisket all day today, and I think it turned out pretty good. I think it was actually one of my better briskets, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Right on. So why don't you tell me or tell everyone who's listening, like what is this route that you're doing? Because there's a lot of people that might not be familiar with the Southern Tier or whatever.
Oh, so the American Cycling Association put together there's probably a bazillion different routes all over the United States. And I was going through a change of employment, and it just happened to be the winter time, and that's when they do this Southern Tier route. You stay south, Arizona, Texas, and that. And I was perfect time, and they say good time to leave is March, that way you're not riding through the desert with 120 degrees. So I went at it, and I just figured it was the ultimate adventure. I've done a couple bike packing adventures, 100, 200 miles, but this is like pretty big one. Not much for the road ride, but it was just an adventure.
Yeah, why this route? I mean, so if you got time off from work, you're in between jobs, what made you pick like this route? Because like you said, there's a bazillion routes out there. What was it about this one that?
Basically, it was a time of year. I closed out my last year at S&M Bikes. I wanted to make a change this year, with my life and stuff. So I quit there, and I was kind of between jobs, and I was like, I might as well do this. I turned 45 this year, and I just, I might as well do this. This is a perfect time. Who gets to take 2 months off work? Nobody.
I don't know. That's why I wanted to find out, like how that.
So it's like I knew I was quitting, and it was I'm gonna have to grab it. I'm gonna have to do it now because I don't know if this opportunity will arise anytime soon.
Right. Yeah. How many times are you gonna be at this age in this condition and have the time available to be able to ride across America on your bike?
Yeah.
Like how many people can do that?
Very, very, very small percentage,
Have you seen any other cyclists doing the route on your ride so far?
I have seen some different people. Sometimes if it's in the middle of the day and we're riding past each other and there's traffic, just kind of a wave. I did end up in like a hostel in, I can't remember the town, but it was in New Mexico. And a couple of dudes were staying there too. They're going the exact opposite way. They're going Florida to San Diego. And we had dinner. We got some barbecue and just talked about stuff. And they gave me an idea of what I was looking at.
That's cool.
And I gave them an idea what they were looking at, And now we follow each other. So I saw some of their posts and stuff. They're in Arizona right now. So they're trucking right along.
Are those the only ones you've seen on the route so far?
Yeah, pretty much. Those are the guys that, I hung out and talked to and stuff like that.
Yeah. I was wondering how many people before, I mean, I knew you were coming here. I knew you were pedaling. So for people who are listening, Chris slept in Bastrop, which is like 80 miles away. And I'm leaving tomorrow to go on my wedding anniversary. And so I was like, dude, if you can come here tonight, That's awesome. We'll like feed you, we'll clothe you, we'll, not clothe you, we'll bathe. I'm not going to bathe you either. Give you a shower, you can bathe yourself, but I'll feed you. But yeah, I mean, we'll do all that. So anyway, he put in a big push today to get here, which is awesome. So while I was thinking about you coming and interviewing, I was imagining to myself, like, how many people actually do this route? Because like I said, I've been trying to find somebody that's posted online. And I mean, I don't know how you find someone that's doing it, unless you read their blog or they're on Instagram or Facebook or something. They're like, hey, I'm doing it. I don't know, how you find someone that's doing the route. So I was like, man, how many people like can take off, 2 months from life and just push pause and go ride their bike across the country?
It's either like young people that don't care about working, and that's very small percentage, but a lot of the blogs and stuff that I read were like older people that have retired.
Mm-hmm.
I've read different blogs of people, and a lot of them are older people, and they just kind of truck right along and take their time. You got certain people that have the husband's doing it and the wife's following along in the RV. So she'll be at the stop, and then when the guy's done for the day, they sleep in the RV, and they camp.
That actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. If you got a wife that's up for that, that's perfect.
You're like, I could go for that.
Yeah, totally.
On the subject, where have you been sleeping?
You know what? Man, like I said, I turned 45 this year, and I'm doing 80-mile, 60-mile days. I'm getting hotels, I may not be as hardcore as those 20-somethings, by camping out every night, and I'm probably depleting my savings. But fuck, man. After those days, I want a bed. I want a shower. Fuck tired.
Yeah, I hear that.
And I have my one-man tent in my sleeping bag, and I've pulled it out like twice. And the one time the shit was all wet, and I folded it up all wet, and the other time I was blew away because of the winds, and I was sleeping on the hard ground, and I just wanted that nice cozy room.
So before doing this route, you said, I think the longest route you did was like 200 miles.
Mm-hmm.
What, for people like listening, like what's it like to like get on your bike in California and decide that you're going to ride across the United States, and you never know what every day is going to be like and where you're going to sleep and what you're going to eat, and like, I don't know, what is that like? Can you put that into words at all?
Some people, and I think a lot of these blogs that I read with the older people, they had all mapped out. Like, we're staying here and here and here. Mm-hmm. They kind of had like a plan, and I had a general plan. But my deal is one day at a time. One day at a time. I'm riding to that town. It's 50 miles, 60 miles, whatever miles away. I'm going to get a hotel in that town, And I don't think about really the days ahead. I think about that one day, that one town. And because if I think about the whole big picture, it's overwhelming.
It is.
So my best advice is, you don't think that I'm going to go ride across America, because I don't think about that. I think I'm riding to this town. I'm going to meet up with one of my buddies, or I'm going to get some food, and I'm going to sleep, and that's it.
What's your biggest motivator whenever you're riding to that town? Like, is it the food, the bed, and the hot shower, or what's your biggest motivator?
Pretty much all that stuff.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple of real long stretches, and you just kind of get in survival mode. Like, I'm not just going to stop and just sit on the side of the road. I got to keep on moving. As long as you're moving, you're good, Just, see the sights, stop, take some photos. But as long as you start early and keep moving, you'd be surprised where you go. I know I am.
What's it like to go from like working a job and, have an apartment and your dog and your cat and your girlfriend and Like now you're out there by yourself. I mean, what is that like?
It's I've done some, like in the past years, what I would do is I'd take a month-long road trip every summer, and I would go and visit bike shops, and I, promote S&M and fit bikes. And I would take a week, and I would meander. I'd take a week to get out to Ohio, spend a week with my folks, and then take a week to get back. So I would either take the high road up in Montana, Idaho, and stuff like that, and I'd take my bike or whatever in my van, and do. So I'd be gone a lot, like a month, and luckily my girlfriend was good with that, and the animals are kind of good with that, but. So I already had the general, but 2 months this is taking is just, it's kind of long.
Yeah. Are you lonely? You get lonely, you get bored?
I wouldn't say that. I'm in constant contact with my girlfriend, my parents, and all my friends and stuff. A lot of thinking, a lot of,
Mm-hmm.
A lot of thinking. Like, I brought an iPod to listen to music, and I've only listened to it a handful of times.
Wow.
Because there's something about when you ride your bike, you got all your senses. You see everything, you smell everything, you hear everything, and it's I don't know, it's real. I love music. I listen to music constantly all day long, but there's something about feeling everything when you're riding.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's interesting. I can't imagine. Well, I can a little bit. I've had little doses where you go off into the wilderness or you go on a bike ride and you're completely disconnected from everything for like a week,
Yeah.
And that's nice.
Oh God. Yeah.
But at the end of the week, God, I want a beer and I want civilization again. It's like,
yeah,
you appreciate it, and then whenever you're in civilization, you're like, man, I got to get back in the woods. I got to go. I got to ride my bike. I got to get out there and do something. I'm getting stir crazy.
Yeah, there's a happy medium there. It's just hard to get there.
Yeah. What's your favorite state so far on the route? So. Yeah, you're going from California to Florida. So you've gone through California, Arizona, New Mexico. Now you're in Texas.
Texas. I love Arizona. I really like Arizona. And it's probably because I've been there many times. It's right next door. It's a great place for mountain biking, and I know a handful of people. I like Arizona. New Mexico wasn't bad. And Texas has been really good. But who knows? I still got a couple more states ahead of me, right?
Arizona is trying to put themselves on the map as a bikepacking destination. I don't know. You've been on the road, but recently, like within the last few months, I've been reading articles about how, the state is like realizing the opportunities that could come through bikepacking and cycling tourism. People coming, because Arizona, it's nice. Well, it can get hot, but in the winter, you can go there and you can ride your bike. You can't do that everywhere.
Yeah, and it's got the best of both worlds because it's got that desert area, and like you said, it's a little too hot during the summer, but man, during the summer you can go up to Flagstaff and stuff, and it's kind of awesome up there, you know. So you can mix it up. You could be a snowbird just in Arizona alone, You know what I mean? So
yeah, I
don't know. I like Arizona, and I've done a couple of bikepacking adventures there. I did one called the Queen's Ransom with this guy John, 200-mile loop that he put together, and he incorporated the AZT, the Hawes Trail, and whatever some of those more popular trails are, and it was rad. We camped out and filtered water and did the whole deal. And then a couple years later, me and some buddies from California drove out there and did a 100-mile similar loop. We hit some of the same stuff and same thing, filtered water and camped out. It was pretty rad.
Which one do you prefer, the touring, the hotel tours with
gas station and restaurants or getting out in the fucking middle of nowhere and, survival, man. You're in it.
Getting out in the middle of nowhere, as long as you got all your stuff, And I got that water filter and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
That's a good point. You can do anything if you have the right gear. You can do anything
Yeah.
if you have the right gear
Yeah, totally.
to go there and the experience to back it up, which, only comes with riding your bike. We were talking about that earlier, how like we were talking about the gear, and I don't personally focus too much on the gear, like the gear is kind of secondary to the experience. I want to be outside doing, seeing, going, and I want to have the right gear to get me there. But for me, it's kind of secondary. I want to have what I need with me to be able to do whatever I want to do, and that's a neat thing. Like right now, you're riding across America. We're sitting in my house right now. I got a car, AC, we got a refrigerator, we got all the luxuries of life, and you have everything that's on your bike. That's all you need. Like there's something super empowering about that, and I don't know. It's
Just
good.
Simplicity, yeah.
Simplicity, man. It puts life into perspective when you realize that this is all I really need. Like I'm living, I'm satisfied, I'm seeing, I'm doing, I'm fine. Like this is all I really need. And like once you have that perspective, you come back to real world and you're like, I mean, this is nice. I don't need it though, but it's nice.
Yeah, totally. I mean, shoot, I got 2 pairs of boxers, 2 pairs of socks, 2 t-shirts, and a couple long sleeves,
What else do you need?
Yeah.
A bike to get you where you're going.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about your bike actually. Now we're on the subject. Why don't you tell what bike you riding and a little bit about your gear and your setup?
Oh, okay. I got the Surly ECR that I bought a couple of years back, and I've changed some stuff about it. I bought it complete, and then I got a aftermarket wheel set with the generator front hub. So when I do some of these things, I can charge my phone or whatever.
What hub are you running?
It's the Alpine, whatever it's called, the Shimano.
Okay, yeah, Shimano.
And I have that roll-off rear hub, that internally geared hub. It's like a little tranny, That's pretty sick. Because, I mean, you don't have to mess around with derailleur and stuff like that if anything goes wrong, So I like that. It's kind of heavy, but I like that thing. I put.
Is it worth the price?
Oh man, I don't want to talk about the price.
Okay, fair enough. That's the biggest barrier. Like I see so many people using them. I get it. The simplicity. It's all internal. You got one chain. You're not shifting. Well, you are shifting, but it's internal.
It isn't.
You don't have the derailleur. Yeah. I mean, I get it, but then I see the price tag and I'm like, ooh, I don't get it that much.
Yeah, it's a little hefty. I'm good at saving money, and I won't spend it on frivolous things, but man, I'll spend it on my bike,
Yeah.
If there's something I want, so.
Yeah, I get that. Well, we were talking about a post I made earlier on Instagram where my bike costs more than my vehicle. I recently had a nice truck, F-150, it was a nice truck, right? It's like, you know what? Screw all this. I'm going to go back, get a 1991 Toyota 4Runner, $3,500, runs great. It's fine. Like it's totally fine. It gets you where you need to go. What else do you need from a vehicle?
Yeah.
You need to go somewhere. You hop in your car and you go get there. I'm not getting a lot out of that, but I get a lot out of my bike. And so it makes sense just logically that my bike is more expensive than my car. Like my bike brings me happiness. It takes me places that I want to be. I get experiences and all that stuff. So it's more logical that you put your money and your energy and your time into the things that bring you happiness and joy and all that.
I have a lot more fun riding my bike than I do driving my car.
Exactly. Yeah. So why am I going to spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on a car?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I mean, I've been thinking about it. I'm like, you get navigation it tells you what the temperature is outside, and it hooks up to Bluetooth, and you got power, everything. I don't even have ABS brakes. What is that? What is ABS brakes?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even have that. You don't need it. You just need to be paying attention to what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you see that guy stopped and stop in time, But
Yeah, totally. Well, it goes back to you don't really need all of this stuff. People just, I guess, want it.
yeah,
You could run the simplest thing in the world.
like a bike
Yeah, exactly.
across America.
Yeah, totally.
Well, that reminded me about your Instagram. So everybody knows on Instagram you have like a profile, and you can say, what you're doing, and all yours says is, "This life confuses me." What about this life confuses you?
Just what we're talking about. This is just me personally. I always thought it was confusing to buy a new car. Maybe because I didn't make that much money, but I was like, why? I'm always the guy that and I learned when I was real young from my dad, it's like, if you don't have the money for it, you don't get it.
That's
so
smart.
I'd save my money and buy stuff outright. And I've always done that with my cars, my everything, I never wanted to finance anything. I was like, man, I don't be paying $500 a month or $300 a month for this car for the next 5-10 years. I'm just not into that,
No.
I'm not that committed, So I would want a car, and I'd save up $3,000 or whatever, $5,000 maybe, and just buy it right out, Then I don't have to worry about it,
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah. When you finance a car, they want you to get the top of the line insurance because you don't own it. The bank does. And yeah. So those are some of the things, I don't believe in that kind of stuff. And we talked about before, I don't believe in marriage. And these are some of the things that confuse me. It's it's just how life is, People that are in debt have tons of credit. I pay with everything in cash, and I have zero credit. Mm-hmm. So I'm good. I don't owe anyone anything, but I'm less of a person because I'm not in debt.
Yeah,
it's fucking confusing.
It is confusing. Yeah, the world is set up. I mean, we live in a capitalistic society where
everyone's debt-ridden.
You need to have a credit card. You can't establish credit without a credit card. And you can't have a credit card unless you have debt that you're paying interest on. How is that a good model? Okay, to show that you're a good, financially sound human, you need to open a credit card that has 23% interest rate, put everything you own on that, and then make bad decisions, to be able to finance it.
See, that's the kind of stuff that confuses me.
Yeah.
Because I have a credit card and I pay it off every month. But, again, I don't have any credit.
What about working when you're 45 years old when you could be out riding?
I would rather ride, but everyone...
You are.
Well, I'll get a job. I'm not worried about that when I get back. I just, I needed a break, and I saved a bunch of money because I don't have a car payment or mortgage or anything like that. I saved a bunch of money so I can do stuff like this, and enjoy life, because I tell you what, man, you can have a bunch of shit and then something happens, you fall ill and get some crazy disease, and you die the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And you spent your whole fucking life in a cubicle.
Yeah.
I'm not telling everyone to go quit their job, but, enjoy.
It's important.
Enjoy what you got. Take some time off and go out and ride or hike or, get out there.
It doesn't matter what you do as long as it's whatever you want to be doing.
Yeah, whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, whatever makes you happy. Yeah. We were talking about that earlier. Whenever I picked you up on the way home, we were talking about, I don't know how we got on this subject, but your time on this earth is limited, and my my father passed away from cancer at 57 years old, and that opened up a whole new reality for me of you have to take advantage of the time that you have. Like, all you have is this moment. I think about it as a cyclist. Sometimes all I'm doing is looking at that rock in front of my tire. Like, all I can do is, okay, can I roll over that rock? Can I roll over that rock? Can I make it over that hill? Can I get to the next town? Those are the moments that I live in, but those are the moments I want to be in. What I don't want to be is like the guy sitting in a cubicle, like you said, and just getting on Instagram and YouTube and seeing what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, watching everyone else have fun.
Watching everybody else, man.
Yeah.
It's a weird world we live in, like
Yeah.
I'm almost 40 years old and I think about this stuff. It's like, how much do I want to work right now? Like, I don't have a lot of, let's say I got 20 years, 25 years. I want to maximize those 20 or 25 years where I can like go and ride my bike and tour across America or go do whatever I want to do, hike or bike or swim or whatever. After that, your body gives up, and that's whenever I should be working, Anyway, I sympathize with it because it's a constant struggle of like, taking care of the financial and the responsibilities of being a human, and also enriching your life through activities, biking, outdoors, whatever you're into, But I think as long as people are like trying, they have a desire to go and to do, you don't have to, it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot to get re-energized. Like, you don't need to go on a 2-month tour across America to reboot your battery. My wife and I just did a trip. We live about like 50 minutes away from Sam Houston National Forest, which I think you rode through or you will tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's
tomorrow.
coming.
Yeah. You got that coming up tomorrow. But you'll ride through a little bit of that. It's only 50 miles away. 50 minutes. We drove there. Set up our hammocks between 2 loblolly pines. That night, I've never seen so many fireflies in my life. Like, it's just me and her in the middle of hundreds of acres of loblolly pines, and for 4 hours, it was thousands and thousands of fireflies. As far as you can see, high, low, dense. It was like a Christmas light show just popping off, We're cooking good food, and it was just amazing, And then the next day we loaded up our bikes and we rode to a hidden lake in Sam Houston National Forest. Most people don't know about it. Top secret. I'm not telling. Don't telling, because you know what? We did naked yoga on a pier. Like, I don't want people there. I want to be able to like enjoy that spot, and you get to spots like that because you earn them. Not because somebody told you about it. Like, you found that spot, whatever. Like, that's your spot. So, but my point is, like, you don't have to do the crazy long adventures. Like, you can do the quick overnighters, and that trip was one of the favorite trips I've ever taken. All the places I've been, all the trips I've done, going 50 miles away with my wife, spending 2 days. Wait, no, 3 days. Yeah, we were 2.5 days outside, just spend a long weekend in the wilderness. Man, that's all you need, to like get you reset, and then you can come back to civilization and you can focus on your job, focus on family, work, whatever you need to do. But yeah, you gotta get out there and do it, man. I think you do.
Yeah, you definitely got to mix it up, and even just one-nighters are totally good, you know.
What do you do there in California? What's your go-to if you're gonna just step away for a quick one?
You know what? I told you, I moved out to the canyon area, and the Cleveland National Forest is my backyard. So I go on hikes every morning with my dog. We go hike back there, and as long as it's during the week in the morning, there's no one back there, you know. So I can get little getaways every morning, you know.
That's awesome.
And then sometimes I'll go riding up there, you know, and again during the week in the morning, there's no one up there, you know. I got it all to myself. And we got a lot of rain this year, so the creek's running, and it's just kind of nice back there, you know.
Man, in California, y'all been like rain deprived for a while, haven't you?
Oh yeah, it goes on and off, you know.
Yeah.
But this season we got a lot of rain.
It was good. It was a good
Actually,
year.
It actually snowed.
What?
In this little area, we're at 1,800 foot, and it actually snowed one day. It was kind of crazy.
How rare is that?
It's very rare. It only happens once in a blue moon, but it melted the next day. But, you know, it was still like, whoa.
Hey, I'm in Texas. I appreciate snow.
Yeah.
It's like you see like a few little tiny specks. You're like, it's snowing.
Yeah.
It's snowing. Call off school.
Yeah.
The buses are shut down. The kids can't
Close
go.
the whole town down. Close it down. Yeah.
Actually, that reminds me, man. I'm mad about this. Earlier, my wife was telling you about that 3 inches that we got. We got 3 inches in College Station, Texas. Lived here my whole life. That's like the most we've ever got. They didn't cancel school. I'm still mad about that because like how many times there's nothing more valuable in that classroom than like, you know, there's nothing that's going to happen in that classroom that's more valuable than letting those kids like stay home and build a snow
And enjoy it. Yeah.
Do a snow fight, like snowball fight, all that stuff. Like, anyway, I'm still bitter about that.
Yeah, they
one.
got days set aside for that. I'm surprised they didn't do it.
Not
you
in
know?
Texas. We don't got days set aside for that.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe
Well,
we do.
I mean,
I'm not
like-
an
like-
educator.
You know, shit. Nah.
Yeah. Anyway, so we actually got derailed from talking about your gear. I think we were talking about your hub.
Yeah.
And so this is one thing that we were talking about earlier too, is like, for me, like the gear is not a huge factor in my life. Like I want the right gear and I want the right equipment to be able to go out and do the things that I like to do. But I realize that there's a lot of people out there that are interested in maybe doing exactly what you're doing, you know, but they're like, well, what do I need? What kind of bike do I need? What kind of tent do I need? What kind of filtration system? Like whatever it is, like, yeah. So tell us about your gear.
Well, see, here's the other weird thing. So the bike is a Surly ECR. It's an off-road touring bike. And I wasn't going to buy another bike. You know, this thing's got big 3-inch tires on it, you know. But I was going to kind of modify it to make it a little bit more street-friendly. Surly does the extraterrestrial tire. It's a 2.5. It's still kind of big, probably, for what I'm doing. But I'm carrying around a lot of weight. That freaking bike weighs like 80 pounds. So I just put those on. They're a little bit smaller tire. And some of those shoulders that I'm riding in are kind of rough. And there's metal. I mean, I drove over a nail today, you know. There's all kinds of stuff. I got lucky. Today was the first day I had a problem with a flat, you know. And I'm more than halfway. So I got them set up with stands and stuff like that. So put a plug in it and kept on going. So mine isn't like your typical road touring bike. But fuck, it works for me, man. Mm-hmm. I put a basket up in the front. I put the racks on it.
Why'd you go with racks over,
the panniers? I kind of set everything like a bike packing, like an off-road one. I kind of set it up that way. Everything's centered, you know. I got the seat bag, and then I laid like a handlebar bag over that on the back, stacked up. And then I got the basket with like a bag in it with food and stuff. And then I got the frame bag, you know. And not like pannier style that are off to the side. So it's kind of set up like an off-road one, you know, because...
How'd you come to that setup?
Because that's what I did before, you know, and I wasn't going to buy new shit. I was like, I'm just going to use my stuff that I got and just make it work.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
love that.
Yeah. So, and the basket's kind of cool, man.
Why?
Because I just set my water bottles right in it, you know.
Yeah, the catch-all. Just
yeah.
throw shit in there and
Yeah,
go.
totally. You know. So it works for me, you know.
Yeah. What? So you're his bike is so fucking heavy. It takes two. We were putting in my bike rack today, and it like took both of us giving it a good effort to get it in the bike rack. I think it weighs more than 80 pounds.
Yeah, maybe 85.
So what are you carrying on that bike? Like water, food, clothing.
Water, food. I got the clothing I mentioned. I have a one-man tent with a sleeping bag, and I got tools too, tools and stuff to fix a bike in case I have any issues. It's a full chromoly bike, and it's got those racks on it, and that hub's heavy,
that roll off.
Yeah. And
plus the Shimano hub too, the front hub, that dynamo, they weigh a decent chunk.
Yeah, totally. So it's like a tank, but I wanted something stout, something that was just. I figured something like nice and stout, like built like a tank. You're not gonna have as many problems with it, especially with all that weight on it.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Like, that's one thing that I would really like to see change in this industry is like you needing the exact right gear. I love the run what you brung mentality. Like my first bikepacking trip I ever did was actually with my wife, and I really wanted to go. I mean, I was super hopped up and fired up to go and do a trip. I mean, once I found out about bikepacking, I was all in, camping, biking together outside, boom, I'm in. So I had a Trek Damani 5.2 or something. It's a carbon road bike, I put 28C tires on there with tubeless, sealant, loaded it all up with, I got the Salsa anything cage or crate or whatever it is for the front bag, had some top tube bags, had a huge seat bag, put everything in there. My wife, she was riding the exact opposite. She was on a full suspension giant mountain bike with big ass tires on them, and we loaded her bike up, and we rode 60 miles or whatever to the national forest. We're on gravel roads with big ass freaking chunky rocks. I'm on 28C tires. I'm having the time of my life. Like there's nothing better. I don't know. Like it didn't matter. The equipment didn't matter. I wasn't on the right shit. She wasn't on the right shit. We were on like the two worst bikes you could possibly be on. But that was a great trip. Like we did it. We just went and we just rode what we had. Some of it was shit. Some of it was wrong. But it didn't matter because we had a great time. We got to a cool place. We camped. We drank whiskey. We ate Mountain House meals with our tire levers because I forgot silverware. I remember that.
Nice.
But that's a good tip, actually. If you ever forget your silverware, tire levers actually work pretty well as a spoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just think that's cool that I don't know. We get so wrapped up in having the right gear, the right tire, the right bag, the right this or that. When that's not what's important. Like you're on a bike, it works. It might not be the right bike. You might not have all the right gear, but it doesn't stop you from going out and doing it.
Yeah, there are no rules, man.
No rules.
Like you can just run what you brung, like you said. It's like my kid, like a true touring person would probably look over and just think I was a vagrant. Seriously. So my setup is all dark and it's got a bunch of stickers on it. It's got a basket on the front of it. Okay. I may or may not have my helmet on depending on how I feel that day. I have cut off dickies. I got these weird hiking shoes on And yeah, I don't even look like a bike touring guy.
Right.
You know,
You look like a homeless guy.
I totally do.
Yeah.
My mom was worried, and my parents and stuff. Oh my God, you're going on this thing, and you know, it's so crazy and stuff like that. I said, listen, Mom, nothing's gonna happen to me. They think I'm a fucking homeless guy, a vagrant guy. So no one's gonna rob me. No one's gonna mess with me.
No
They're
one
just
thinks
gonna
you have
feel
any money.
sorry for me.
No one knows that roll-off hub costs $2,000 or more. You
Yeah.
know, like no one knows that.
They don't. Yeah, they don't know any better.
Yeah, they see your tattoos and they see
Yeah.
like what you're wearing. And like, oh my gosh, like they just don't want to get close to you so they don't have to smell you. You know,
Yeah,
like, that's all they're thinking.
The tweak speed, you know.
The tweak speed.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a new one. I haven't heard that before. The tweaker speed.
yeah, totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Has anyone thought you were homeless?
No one said anything, but I imagine some people probably have looked at, especially when when you're out in the middle of nowhere, they probably just feel bad for you. But when you're in a city, looking the way I look, they probably do think I'm homeless.
Yeah.
Like the homeless encampment's over there, dude. You know, they're pointing me over in that direction.
Yeah, the food line's over there, bud.
Yeah.
I've only had one person, and I was wearing like Lycra, you know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't even dressed in like just street clothes, but I had all my bags and I was on a ride and went into a gas station. An old lady was like, honey, I know you're having a hard time. Here's $10, you know? And I'm like, no, I'm fine. You don't understand. This bike costs more than your car. Like, I'm out here for fun, you know? People just don't understand. And I get it. It's a weird thing, man. It's weird in that it's not what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Everybody else is like trying to get the big house and the nice car and the nice job and nice jewelry, or I don't even know what people are trying to do, but it's like they don't understand that somebody just wants to strip all that away and just live life. They just want to experience it, every moment of it, the weather, the environment, whatever it is. Like there's something about just experiencing this life and being a part of it just brings tremendous value to your life, and it's hard to explain, you know. You just hopefully you can inspire other people to go out there and experience for themselves.
Well, yeah, totally. And I was just thinking, you know, the common man doesn't get it. And it made me think just about a day or two ago, I was riding on some country road, and a guy pulled up next to me in a pickup. And he said, hey, you want to ride? You going to Bastrop? You know? And I was like, no, I'm okay. And he's like, oh, okay. All right. And it almost confused me. First, someone so kind to offer a ride to someone they don't know. Second off, he probably just thought I was trying to get to town, which I was, but he didn't understand the idea of like being able to ride across country on the bike, you know, and not get a ride.
No, you're here for fun. Like you're enjoying this.
Yeah. It was totally confusing, but
let's not deny the fact that it's hard. Like what you're doing is 100% hard.
Yeah, I've
fun
had some,
is like in quotation marks.
Yeah,
you know?
I've had some challenging days.
What was your most challenging?
We've
been all unicorns and rainbows. So yeah, like tell me something.
The west going down portion of Texas, following the Rio Grande down, there was some really like nothing. So I mean, there's nothing. Let me see here.
Yeah, he's gonna pull out his map, but I can tell you, being a Texan, if you're listening to the podcast, you'll know that I just went out to Big Bend Ranch State Park. You know, you will drive for hours without seeing a gas station or anything. I mean, you see other cars on the highway and stuff, but that's it. Like you are in the middle of nothing.
Oh yeah. So here's the one. I left from Sanderson, and I went to Langtree, I think, and I don't think there was anything really there.
Never heard of it.
and I eventually got down to Del Rio, and somewhere around there I camped at this park, and I woke up and went to Comstock, and there really was nothing there. Luckily, there was a little store that I could get water and some food, snacks and stuff like that. But that was like 100 miles or more in between those. When I camped out, there was like a cold front coming in, and I wake up and the tent's blowing away with me in it.
Really?
Yeah. And the wind was so bad. So not only was I doing tons of miles, I was battling these 10 plus mile per hour winds coming at my fucking face. And then I got up in the morning. It was cold. Like my hands were numb, and I folded all my shit up and just started riding again. And needless to say, when I got to Del Rio, I loved that hotel room.
You appreciated it so much more.
Oh God, I got a warm cup of coffee. I was happy.
Yeah. Have you at any point have you like thought about tapping out? You're like, fuck, why am I doing this? What am I here?
Yeah. I've definitely said, what have I gotten myself into? But I try to be a man of my word. When I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. But, I've definitely had some, like, fuck this. Definitely. Like, especially with that wind. Uphill's one thing. I can kind of deal with that.
Because there's a downhill.
Yeah.
There's a reward.
But with that wind, you go uphill, and you don't really have a downhill because the wind just blew you right back.
I know.
And that was that stretch right there. Like, downhill just didn't even matter.
Yeah, and,
you can go anywhere.
One thing people don't realize may or may not realize about Texas is, like, hills in Texas are much smaller than they are in other places. So, like, if you're going down a hill, the gradient is such to where if you have a strong 20-mile headwind, you can't just cruise it. Like, you still have to pedal.
You have to pedal downhill.
Yeah, you have to pedal downhill.
Yeah.
It's a bitch.
Yeah. That was definitely a trying little area right there. And it just happened to be when the wind was up.
No.
And anyone that's done this route knows that area. They know what I'm talking about.
Is it always the same?
I think the wind's just always bad down there.
Yeah.
I've read different blogs, and like either you get lucky and it's at your back, or you get not so lucky and it's right at your face.
How much research did you do about the route? Actually, let me step back one more step. How long before you departed on the trip was it that you decided you were going? Does that make sense? Like, how long before you left did you know that you were leaving?
I put it together probably in my head in December. I think it wasn't until maybe January when I notified my loved ones of this, And then I once I said it, you're doing it.
It's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of mulled
We're
it
cut
around.
from the same cloth. I get it.
I definitely mulled it around a while, and I said, man, if I say this, I'm doing it, And
that's one way I hold myself accountable.
Yeah, totally.
It's like once I say it, fuck. All right, now I got to do it.
You got to be a man of your word,
You do.
Yeah,
we're cut from the same cloth. The only like claim to fame I have in this life, well, maybe not the only. I've done other stuff, but in biking, it's like I've never not finished a race, or I've never not finished something I set out to do on a trip or whatever. It's like if I'm going to do, I've had mechanicals and had to, could not finish, but if I was able, like there's been times I wanted to quit. I wanted to throw in the towel. I cried and felt bad for myself. It hurt, but it's like, well, fuck, I said I was going to do it. So, well, are you going to do it or not? And it's an interesting thing where, like, you always are questioning yourself, like, how far can I push myself? Like, you don't know that you can ride across America. You don't know that.
Yeah.
You're just going to, every day you're going to go out there and you're going to push yourself and you're going to try to do it. You're going to hope that you can and hold good to your word, but
Yeah.
you're going to push yourself and you're going to put your body and your mind in places it's never been before. And in those moments, you just have to say to yourself, can I go a little bit further?
Yeah.
And so far, for me at least, the answer has always been yes, I can go a little bit further.
Yeah, totally. And I think there's something good about going alone. People probably think that it's kind of crazy, but by me going alone, it's like I'm the only one that's going to save me. And the only way I'm going to save me is pedal to that next town
Yeah.
so I can get food and shelter.
Yeah,
you know?
it's weird. It's like I'm running out of water. I don't have
it's-
food, whatever. You know?
Yeah, it's survival, you
Yeah.
know? And the first time I really thought about that was actually when I was on that 200-mile bike packing trip with that guy, John, that Queen's Ransom. Those other dudes, it was 3 of us. Those guys were good. They were way ahead of me. And we ended up riding at night, and I saw their lights way up on this hill, and all of a sudden they rounded the corner, and they were out of sight.
Mm.
And I was like, I'm out in the middle of nowhere by myself, and I'm kind of scared shitless. But I'm going to keep on moving forward because I got to find these dudes, you
What
know,
else are you
because
gonna
they
do?
know where they're going.
Yeah.
I had to load my Garmin. I followed the line, but, you know, I got to catch up to these guys, you know. But I'll tell you what, those dudes, I had the same bike, and they were like, hey, if you want to, you know, if you ever want to cut off, there's a couple of cutoff points where you can quit or whatever. I said, no. And when I finally finished it, they go, congratulations for finishing it. And I'm going to give you an extra couple thumbs up for doing it on that heavy ass bike.
What were they on?
The one dude had a hardtail with a chock in the front, but it was light. It was pretty simple. Mine was kind of loaded down, a lot of stuff. And the other guy had a full suspension, but his was pretty simple too. I think they were both doing the bivvy. I had the one-man tent, but I think they had a little bit more homework done than me at that time.
Was that one of your was that one of your earlier trips?
Oh yeah. That was the first real one. I went right for the 200-miler.
Well, they say you pack your fears, you know, and that makes sense. I've done it many a times.
I had so many Cliff Bars in that fucking
Yeah.
bike. I got so sick of those things.
Oh man, no doubt. Yeah, I can't even. I haven't had a Cliff Bar in over a year or more. Like I'm tapped out on Cliff Bars. I've just decided. But that's what you do is like. The only way you get to a point of experience is through experience. Like you have to go and you have to do and you have to put yourself in those situations that are uncomfortable and they're hard, and you're going to learn every single time. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You're going to learn something, you know?
Yeah.
I remember whenever I did that 500-mile race that I was telling you about, I came home and I was slow, you know? I mean, this was a huge, goal, a huge challenge for me that I was going to take on 500 miles. Most that I'd ever done is like, I don't know, 150 mile overnighter or something, you know? And I came home from that trip and I weighed everything I didn't use. Weighed 5 pounds, carried 5 extra pounds of weight with me on for 500 miles, you know? But I learned, you know, and from that, I'm like, okay, well, I don't need that. I've actually been like training my body to go without food for longer periods of time so that I know what it's like. You know, I'll go on rides without eating, you know, I'll fast and I'll go ride just so that I know that I can, you know, I'm like teaching myself, okay, you can do this, you know, you can suffer a little bit more. And when you learn that, you just have another tool in your bag where you can go and do whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think about that stuff too. Like, I'll get to a town and be like, am I going to fill up with water? Or is there another town can I make it to the next one so I don't have to carry? This water's heavy, you know? And, yeah, I probably carry too much water. I just, you know, I'm like, if I have some mechanicals and I'm on the side of the road, I'm going to want, you know, it's going to take me longer to get to that destination if I got to walk the bike or whatever.
I will give you that one. There's a lot of things I will cut but water is not one of them.
Yeah.
I will never, ever cut on water. I went on, when I was at Big Bend Ranch State Park, some of the people there, I won't name names, were running like a liter and I got 3, and they're like, I don't, they're just going to dehydrate themselves. Like they know what they're doing, it's like, yeah, I'll be fine. And maybe they're comfortable with that and that's cool. But like for me, the one thing I'm not comfortable with is going without water.
Yeah, me neither. And I don't want to be on the side of the trail with a leg cramp, being dehydrated,
You can't do anything without water. That's the one. All right, so tell me about your training going up to this. So that we already know the longest route you've ever done was 200 miles. What was your training like? You said you was on your brain in December. You notified your next of kin in January. How did you train for this ride?
I didn't at all. And I don't know if that was that smart, but here's the thing. Like I said, we had a wet winter, and it was cold, and I didn't ride much beforehand at all. Believe it or not, like there was always something going on, or it was crazy. So I didn't. I got a couple of rides in up the hill, but nothing major. It was like, I guess I'm gonna train myself as I go along. Because the first couple of days were kind of hard, and each day got better and better and better. If you would have told me beforehand that I was doing back-to-back 80-mile days and stuff like that, I thought, no way. Because I did a 100-mile ride with my buddies last July. We started from the pier of Huntington Beach, rode all the way out to where I live area, went up to Santiago Peak, which is like 5,600 foot, and then back. It was like 106 miles. I thought I was gonna die. It's on a full suspension mountain bike, and there was a lot of road to get to the dirt area and stuff like that. But it was a cool ride. But man, but it was weird because then the next day, I thought I was just gonna be laying around and stuff like that, but that was the day that I was like, I could probably ride today. I didn't. I worked or whatever, but I was like, I could ride today if I wanted to, So
I think that's super important. I'm glad you said that. That's the one thing that I've learned, and I think it's worth mentioning. Like your body and your brain kind of get into patterns, right? Like, every day you wake up, you're in a nice bed, you take a shower, you drink some coffee, you go to work. It's very easy to like get into that. If you put yourself in a position where you're asking more of your body and your mind to produce more than you normally ask for, at first, in my experience at least, it's going to rebel. Like all the warning bells are going to go off, and you're going to be like, oh, I heard, and this hurts, and da-da-da. If you just keep going for 2 or 3, I tell everybody it's like 2 or 3 days. Like if you just keep pushing for 2 or 3 days, on that 4th, 5th day, whatever it is, your body is and your mind are going to be like, oh, okay, I guess he's not going to stop. I guess we got to keep going. And you're going to tap into something you didn't even know you had. And you're just going to, your body's going to like catch up, and it's going to be like, all right, I guess we're going. I guess we're going to keep pedaling. I've done that so many times where you wake up, and it's usually like, for me at least, the first 10 or 15 minutes. You wake up in the morning, you're like, fuck, dude, I'm so tired. My knees are hurting. My back hurts from sleeping on this rock wrong or whatever it is. And you just have, especially in your position, if you're bike packing, wherever you are, right? Like, what are you going to do? Just lay there? Like, you have to keep going.
Yeah, you got to get moving.
So you keep moving, 10, 15 minutes in, you're like, oh, I'm actually okay. It's like, it kind of hurts, but it's really not that bad, right?
Yeah, and once you get moving and get warmed up, man, you start thinking about solving the world's problems, and you're off in another world. You're thinking about the pain.
What do you think about while you're riding?
Oh my God. Solving the world's problems. Music, skateboarding. I thought a lot about skateboarding because, man, I'll tell you what, out here I see tons of ditches on the side of the road. And, man, I've been battling with myself about, like, I should have brought a board with me, but it's just extra weight, So, but who knows, man, when I get to my next stop that I know somebody with a shop in Louisiana, you might see a board strapped to the front of my bike.
Are you still skating?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What kind of skating are you doing? So we also talked about this. Like, you and I both have done a lot of skating. For me, it was like, 14 to 21. I was hardcore skater, but I'm like, now I just think I'm old. I'm going to hurt something, like I'm not ready to take it back up. But you're 45 and you're still skateboarding.
Yeah. And there's tons of people that are older than me, but I mean, it's not like I'm doing kickflips down 10 stairs or anything like that,
Yeah.
I'm doing slappies on curbs. I go skate a bowl and just carve around and stuff, do little slash grinds and stuff like that. I'm just cruising, having fun. Yeah, totally. I'm not setting the world on fire. But, man, I was in Fredericksburg. That park looked insane, Evergreen Park, all super fun, flowy stuff. I was in Austin. I hung out at that house park watching some guys ride and skate, and I was like, I need a fucking board. Because that park looked rad, just kind of cruise around, So, like I said, man.
I hope you get one. I'm not going to lie. You already got 80 pounds in your bike. You might as well get a fucking board and go, like, shred some shit on your way.
Yeah, I was talking to my skate buddy, Aiden, and I was like, man, I might be getting a board. He goes, I would, And I was like, I'm used to riding kind of a bigger board. And I was like, I'll just get a little bit smaller of a board, a little bit smaller of a truck, a little bit smaller of a wheel. So at least it'll save a little bit of weight. But,
dude, I think that would be awesome. You might be the first ever bike packing skateboarder.
There's been a couple more.
There
was a couple of pro guys. I can't remember. It was something that Vans did. I can't remember who did it. But they rode like in Australia or New Zealand, and they would ride all day, and they would go from park to park, which is pretty cool. And I can't even remember what it was a couple of years ago.
I'm
but
sure
it was
people
pretty
would
rad.
find it.
Yeah.
Vans, bike packing, skateboarding. It's really that hard to find.
Yeah, totally. And when I first thought about it, I thought, man, my legs are going to be so tired after 100 miles or whatever, and I kind of want to go skating and stuff like that. But it depends on the day, There's certain days where I put in a fair amount of miles, and I was like, my legs don't feel too bad. I could go carve around, so.
Skateboarding is a great workout.
Yeah.
Super good workout.
Oh, yeah.
My problem with it is I think I go too hard on skateboarding. And maybe that's the wisdom there that I need to learn is like, you're not 16 anymore. Like you just need to calm it down. The last time I like seriously rode a skateboard, I was 21 and I did a kick flip to board slide on like 5-step. It was just a concrete
ledge,
concrete ledge. And I don't even remember what happened, but somehow I came down on my knee. My knee swelled up to the size of a watermelon, it's just huge. To this day, my knee, like when I ride, still bothers me. Like it rocked me really hard. Yeah. And I was like, okay, that for whatever reason, like that did it for me. And I was just like,
it.
I'm done. I couldn't walk for 6 months like a normal person,
Oh.
And so like once I don't know, it was just a weird time in my life where I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to let this go,
Well, that's the other thing that worries me is like, if I do get a board and I get hurt on this trip, I'm going to be fucking bummed,
Yeah, that's a tough call.
Because you get hurt skating.
Yeah, you do. I mean, it's not like riding a bike. It's a different thing.
Yeah.
It'll slip out underneath you real quick and it'll leave you.
Fall on your wrist and snap that thing.
Yeah, so many times. My wrists are so fucked up from skateboarding.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so here's the situation. It is probably 10-ish o'clock at night, and we just realized, actually, he was loading his bike on we were both loading his bike on my rack of my truck, and we realized that he has 2 dings in his rim, like dents from. It actually was probably a result of like whenever you ran over that nail,
Yeah.
your tire pressure was like super low, and you probably hit something.
Yeah.
Dinged
I
the
was
rim.
going down a hill when I hit that nail, so I was moving.
Oh,
Too.
really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how it might have taken you a while to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short, you and I were about to fix your bike. We're going to throw a new tire on there and bend the rim back and get you on the road.
Cool.
Sound
Sounds
like
good to me.
Well, not tonight. Tonight we're going to let you sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm going to drop him back off at the same place I picked him up so he doesn't cheat on the route. I'm making sure.
Yeah.
Get him right back to the exact same spot.
Nice.
Be good to go, man. What are you, before we go, what are you looking forward to on the route? Is there anything other than the finish? Is there anything between Texas and Florida that you're like pretty excited about?
Just seeing some of the beaches, you know. I guess you know, and there's a ferry ride that you take down by Louisiana and stuff like that. So
Really, the route takes you on a ferry ride?
yeah, Dolphin Island down somewhere down there.
Wow.
And I don't think I've ever been to Louisiana either.
I mean, I live like 3.5 hours away, and I've never been either.
Yeah.
I've only driven through a handful of times.
Well, the one time I was going to do, I was on my motorcycle riding through here, and I got hit by so much freaking rain. I was in Dallas or something like that, or Houston, and I looked at my map ahead of me, and then I turned on the news, and the whole state of Louisiana just had a big cloud over it, and it just said wet. And I said, well, I'm not going there.
Yeah. Motorcycle and wet.
Yeah,
doesn't.
I deferred up to Ohio to visit my folks, and I skipped it, so I've yet to hit that place up. So
I'm not sure we talked about that, but where are we know you're going to Florida, but what's in Florida?
well, I'm going all the way to St. Augustine, but my mom and my stepdad actually moved down there, so they're gonna meet me when I get to the end.
Yeah.
Hopefully, my girlfriend and my daughter will fly out too, but
That'd be awesome.
that we're looking into that. You know.
That's pretty neat, man. You ride from your home in California to your parents' house in Florida.
Well, that's what I told her.
I'm gonna come visit.
That's what I told her.
You coming next week? You coming? We gonna catch a flight? Nah, I'm thinking I'm gonna ride my bike. Be there in like 6 weeks.
I told her that exactly, and she kind of laughed, and I said, "Well, when I come visit you, I'm gonna ride my bike there." So.
Yeah. Once you put it out there, man, not fucking around.
Yeah. I said it, so I had to.
Now I got to do it.
Yeah.
Your mom is counting on you to be there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, earlier today, I looked to my wife and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna go pick up a stranger and bring him home." And I'm glad I did, man. It's been really. I've been looking forward to this. I've been looking forward to having a bike touring whoever come through and get an opportunity to just provide for them, give them a house, give them food, give them wherever they need, and have some good conversation and hear about the journey. So I appreciate you sitting down and like sharing a little bit of your story and your experience with other people, because I think we need that, man. I think we need people to like go and do and share it so that other people can get inspired and go out and do it too,
Yeah, totally. I couldn't believe it. It's to inspire people to go ride. I've gotten some comments on my Facebook or my Instagram and stuff of guys that I know that they get locked into life, and they're like, "Hey, the other day I broke out my bike and I rode it, like usually I would just drive to the store or wherever they were going, and they were like, I got out my bike and I rode it as like a little adventure because I'm so inspired about your story." It's so amazing to hear.
God, that is
I've
a
had
beautiful
multiple
thing.
people say
Yeah.
that,
That's I mean, that truly, that's it, man. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're growing yourself as a person, you're experiencing your living life, and at the same time, you're helping other people to get inspired to go and ride their bikes and experience more of this life. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it gets any better than that.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, if people want to keep up with you and follow, because you're only halfway through, man, you got more to go. So, like, if people want to follow you, keep up with what you're doing, how can they find you?
So on Instagram, it's Chris S 1974 CHRISS 1974.
All right, let's go fix your bike, man. Let's get you ready to head out tomorrow and get back on the road.
Sounds good to me.
All right, man. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. So, as promised, I'm going to give you the rest of the story. We recorded that episode. It's probably about 8 o'clock at night. And afterwards, we were going to take his rim over to my neighbor, who happens to be a phenomenal mechanic and bike packer and cool dude. And so we took his rim over there because it was bent, and we were going to let Tom straighten it out. And while he was doing that, he realized that his rim had a bunch of hairline cracks right where the nipple, the spoke nipple goes into the rim. And Chris's bike weighed a lot, like we said on the podcast. So he was not going to be going very far. Like, he needed a new rim. So it was probably about 10:30 at night, and I sent a text to Andrew, our shop manager at my local bike shop, Aggieland Cycling. And I got to give him and the shop a shout out, because at 10:30 at night, I sent him a text. He responded right away, got on their shop's inventory. He can do it at home from his computer, see what they had. He found some options that he thought would work. And the next morning, he met us up there before the shop even opened. And it turned out it was Andrew's day off. So came in on his day off. It was about 10 o'clock in the morning. And by 12, the new wheel was built up. And I was driving him back to Navasota to get back on the route. And I can tell you, he was super grateful to everybody. And I actually forgot to mention my buddy Ryan, so Chris's rear tire was just about shot, completely worn out. And he was running a 29-inch extraterrestrial 2.5, which is the exact same tire that my buddy Ryan had just taken off his Salsa Fargo. So I called Ryan. I was like, hey, can you help him out? And of course he said yes. So he gave Chris almost a brand new extraterrestrial. And it was just such a cool thing to see, like, this little bike packing community here in College Station, Texas, be able to help Chris out and get him all dialed in and back on the route. And, now he's pedaling across America, and hopefully safely and on good equipment. And I know he was super grateful. I'm grateful for the experience. And I just want to give a shout out to all those guys who helped. It was really neat. All right. So once again, if you want to find me on Instagram, it's Bikes or Death. Facebook, you can find me there. There's a new page for Bikes or Death. And I am running, there is no we, it's just me. I'm running a special on Patreon. If you sign up for just $1 a month, I'll send you a sticker. That's it, $1. You can even sign up for a month at $1 and then unsubscribe a month later, and you're still going to get it, okay? So that's that. Now go ride your damn bike.